Hey players, Rick here with Game Trade Media. We're here still at GenCon 2018. I've got Justin from Stoneblade Entertainment, the mind behind Ascension, and some other amazing things I hear.
Yeah, I would like to talk about all of it. It's a lot of fun stuff.
Well, let's talk about what's going on now with Ascension.
All right.
This is a whole new Ascension,
Whole new
correct?
Ascension, just released a couple weeks ago. It's
All right.
called Delirium. For those of you out there, hopefully you guys are familiar with Ascension.
Mhm.
We launched it here at GenCon 8 years ago. That's
Wow.
crazy to think
You've
about.
been doing this at least 8 years.
Yeah. I mean, I've been designing games for the last 15 years
That's
now,
awesome.
and was pro Magic player before that. So
Mhm.
20 years I've been making a living in the gaming industry.
That is amazing.
It's kind of crazy to think about those numbers start coming together, but it's awesome. I love it. People are always like, "Oh, well, how do you keep coming up with ideas?" I'm like, "This part's easy, man. It's
Right.
so much fun. I do what I love to do, and I get to interact with players here and show it off, and
Right.
it's super exciting."
I love it. So tell us more. Tell us
Yeah.
all about Ascension.
So Delirium is the new expansion, and one of the things, so those of you who are fans might recognize these little orange gems here. These are called insight tokens,
Okay.
and in our Dreamscape was a set we had that you introduced this mechanic,
Okay.
and people loved it.
Nice.
And in that set, you were able to spend these to buy dream cards, which were kind of reserved cards that only you had access to, right?
Okay, nice.
So that was a really cool strategy, but now we're bringing back the insight mechanic in a totally new way. So just as a refresher, insight, whenever one of these Dreamborn cards shows up,
Okay.
everybody gets an insight. And if
Nice.
you buy one of the Dreamborn cards, you get an extra insight.
Okay.
All right, so you can accumulate them over time. But instead of buying cards, we have introduced, dun dun dun, the Delirium die.
All right.
So I get two reactions when I introduce the die. Some people love it. Some people are terrified, right? Because dies are random and
Yeah.
introduces this whole new element. But I've been wanting to put a die into Ascension for at least the last 5 years.
Okay.
And I've never found the right way to do it until now. And the reason is that because, yes, a die introduces a random element, but the insight mechanic, because it's a resource that stores from turn to turn, it's very strategic. So
Okay.
thinking about when is the right time to play and roll the die, you pay 5 insight to roll the die, is really important. So like, for example, in the board that's here, there's no monsters out. The die gives you different resources on each side. You can banish a card, you can draw 2 cards, gain 3 runes, gain 4 power, gain
Wow.
5 honor, or gain 6 insight, which basically means you get an extra insight and can roll again.
Nice.
So in this board, rolling a 4 for 4 power wouldn't be a good roll. So you
Okay.
might want to strategically wait to roll the die until there's some monsters, so more of the sides of the die are going to work out in your
Okay.
favor. So it's a really great blend of random fun rolling
Mhm.
and strategy. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about here,
Okay.
and it's the biggest innovation. Now, storyline-wise, and again, I'm going to go a little bit deeper here because I think a lot of your audience
Deep
are...
into the mythos.
Some of our most famous characters, we keep recurring and coming back. And since we've gone back into the Dreamscape, this is actually a world of nightmare and madness, and everything's
Okay.
been warped around. So, for example, Emery is like the most badass of the Void heroes, and in this world now she's been warped, and you see her in enlightened form.
Let's go ahead and take her up.
Yeah.
Get a nice little close up of that character.
So now it's clearly still inspired by that character, but it's a totally different shift. And every one of our major characters has seen this shift, and you'll see them in a totally new form, in a different faction. And so it's really cool mechanically and storyline-wise to be able to play with that.
Nice.
So 2 other things that are interesting to show off. There is the recur mechanics. So they all revolve around insight. The whole set revolves around that resource and different ways to use it. One of them is recur. If a card has recur, you can pay that amount of insight to get the effect twice. So in
Nice.
this case, it's just draw a card, but you can pay an insight to draw 2. So very powerful.
Yeah.
And then the last major mechanic to talk about with this set is auction. I love auction games. I've never
Okay.
actually designed one myself, so I threw one in here.
All right.
The way it works is it's a fate card, which means when it shows up in the center row, you do the effect right away.
All right.
And in this case, you'll auction, meaning you'll bid insight to get the effect of the card.
Okay.
So, for example, this card lets you banish a card in your hand or discard pile and replace it with a mystic or heavy infantry.
Wow.
So, as soon as it shows up, you can be like, all right, I'll bid 1, you'll bid 2, whatever. Whenever you win the bid, you pay it, you get the effect. And then the card is still like a normal card. You can acquire it and use it as normal, but it creates this like interesting sudden moment in the game where
Right.
everybody gets focused and you can really decide how you want to spend your resources.
Very cool.
So it's really super fun. And then just to kind of zoom back out a little bit, right? One of the things we love to do is tie the different sets together. And I think we've done an amazing job. I mean, I'm biased to be fair, but of doing that for this year. Not only is Delirium using the insight mechanic, but as a kind of early preview of the thing we don't even have yet.
Okay.
The next set is called Deliverance, and it also uses the insight mechanic, and it's kind of the path out of dementia and out of madness.
Nice.
And so it uses the insight mechanic, totally new way, totally different way to like think about the resource. They combine super well together, and that all leads up into what I've been calling the Year of Dreams, because it's these sets in the Dreamscape, and then our Year 5 Collector's Edition comes out at the end of the year, which has Dreamscape in it.
Oh, nice.
And so you can, like, if you love this mechanic and it's something you can really dig deep into and see it respond in totally new ways. I know a lot of people are always asking, when are these things coming into the app, and what, how all that's going to play. And so we're releasing like slowly new parts of the app, but they always come out first in physical, and this is always going to be the heart of the game, is that tabletop experience.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And this is available now?
Right now, yes. This is available right now. We've just released a couple weeks ago, and so people have been loving it. And then the Deliverance will be out kind of around PAX Unplugged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And what's the price point on this?
It's $39.99. Same as all of our other big box sets. Comes with everything you need for 4 players.
Okay.
Beautiful board, extra cool tokens, all kinds of goodies.
All the good things.
And a die.
The die.
Custom die.
The custom die. And for all you individuals out there that are like diehard die collectors or accumulators, as I am, I literally have like fish bowls.
Yeah.
Dice around my house. Check this out. This is really a cute little die that has multiple fun sides to it, and it's odd. I'm in a Facebook group actually that's all about dice collecting.
Really?
It's like 23,000 people.
Do you have like a favorite die that's like your prize collection? I
do. It was actually a forged, like legit forged metal 6-sider.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
weighs about 7 pounds.
Wow.
And it's maybe 4 inches by 4 inches.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Ultra Pro dice they have now? They have all these metal ones and these like heavy dice that just like there's like different colors and different. I don't play RPGs as much as I used to and wish I could.
Should.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But like when I feel those dice in my hands, like that's where I'm like ready to do a big attack. I like it just feels like waiting.
And this one right here is, even if I didn't have the Ascension, I'd be like. It may just be like, oh yeah, let's pack this up.
Yeah. Wait a minute, where'd the die go? What happened?
What dice? But it's a great, beautiful game. The artwork on this is amazing. Do you know who? Can you say who did the artwork?
Yeah. So Eric Saby has been our core artist from the very beginning. And actually, I'll tell you a little story about it. Eric. So when I first was making Ascension, right, this is starting my own company.
Okay.
I did not have a lot of money.
Sure.
I literally put all my life savings into making the game.
Right.
But to do the art, Eric was a guy that lived down the hall from me when I lived in Boston right after I graduated college.
Okay.
And we became friends, and I always loved his artwork. And so when this is like 10 years later, and I'm starting to make Ascension, I call him up, and I'm just like, hey, man, can you do this? And like I specific pieces of his that I knew I wanted to use, and that kind of became the inspiration for the entire look and feel of the world.
Nice.
And so that was awesome. So he's still working with us to this day. We also have a lot of other talented artists that we brought on because one man can't handle all of the art for this stuff.
If you're going to be pumping them out, if this one's out and it's only been out a couple of weeks, and you got another one coming out
end of the year,
like 2.5 months, 3 months, that's
so
a lot.
So it's been it's great, and I think we've gotten better and better over time. Both Eric has gotten better and other artists of like really refining the world and the look, and now we like when we're taking the characters like I mentioned and changing them into new factions, like what does that visually mean? How do you like tell that story just through the art and the flavor text and the things that are going on? So I love that stuff, and it's a big part, like world building. I mean, you talk about role playing games, right? Like that world building part of like creating it all and like really communicating that visually and through play. It's so much fun. I mean, I love it. It's so much fun.
So cool. I love that you're like still geeking out about it.
Yeah,
that's makes it. For all of you watching, if you can't just tell that he's geeking out about this this property that you've created, this world that you've created, this mythos, you're missing out on a really great opportunity to play an amazing game, because you can tell it right here. He's all about it. It's amazing. But you brought a couple other things.
I did.
Let's take a peek at those as well.
Okay, let's transition here. Yep. I'm gonna slide this away. We'll move these. You want to slide it that way?
I'll slide this. I'm just gonna.
All right. So this is my. You know how Ascension is like, my eldest child, my firstborn, and really has an amazing, following, and we've been at this for a long time. And I love making new Ascension sets, but I wanted to think about what would I do if I were going to make a deck building game that just started over, right? No, none of the preconceived notions of Ascension, like what is it, what would I build for myself, just what I wanted to play today, and that became Shards of Infinity.
Okay.
Now, I think most of your fans are hopefully going to know about Shards of Infinity already. It just came out in April, but we've already sold through the entire first print run. This is just a cool little mouse pad that
it looks great.
Yeah, and so just to talk about it briefly in broad terms, and then I'm going to show you the new thing that's not even out yet.
All right.
It's only $20. It is everything 4 players need to play.
Okay.
Comes with a really cool tracker that tracks your health. So unlike in Ascension where you're like fighting monsters, in this one you actually attack each other.
Oh, okay,
so it's
great.
much more aggressive,
Nice.
much scales pretty quickly, and so it's really fun. And then you have a mastery tracker. And what mastery is instead of having like side decks of cards like every deck building game has, even Ascension has mystics and heavy infantries and that, we got rid of all of that. But your character has a power that you can spend 1 gem, which is like your money resource, to increase your mastery by 1.
Okay.
And then as your mastery gets higher, all of your cards like level up and get more powerful. So even your starting cards like can get better. So you have 1 card in your starting deck that gives you 2 gems. If you're at 5 or more mastery when you play it, gives you 3. At 15 or more mastery, it gives you 4.
Wow.
And there's tons of cards like that. So we can like unlock all of these awesome powers.
Right.
And then even a starting card in your deck called the Infinity Shard, which if you get to, it starts only does 2 damage, but if you get all the way to 30 mastery and play it, it does infinite damage and you kill everybody. So super exciting, super fun, and like at that like price point and the style of everything, it's like it's been a big hit.
Nice.
So people have been asking us what's next.
What is next?
And that's what I'm going to show you. So I have this expansion is called Relics of the Future. You can let me know where to place this stuff. The expansion is called Relics of the Future, and it comes with, it's only $9.99. It's coming out in October, and it has not only does it have a bunch of cool cards that get added to the deck, but also each player character gets these 2 relics. Now, one of the concerns people had when we launched Shards of Infinity was that all of the characters that you play are functionally identical. They're just art differences. And so we knew people were going to want that, so we had it planned for the expansion.
I love it.
And so the way it works is whenever you get to 10 mastery, you get to pick one of the 2 relics that you have and acquire it into your deck. And the other one will not be used that game. So what it does is that you have to make a choice, right? Do you want to be aggressive and try to kill your opponent quickly? Do you want to use defensive strategies? And so you don't get locked into one strategy at the beginning. So for those of you that are into games where you have different starting positions, or even my own Ascension Dawn of Champions had different starting positions. One of the concerns I've always had with that is that it kind of railroads you into a strategy, right? If I know that my card in front of me says you got to buy green cards, well, okay, I'm just going to buy green cards, right? And it's fun for the first couple plays, but after a while, you lose that ability and that freedom, which is the most fun part of a deck building game.
Right.
With the relics, because you have 2 choices and you don't have to make the choice until kind of the middle of the game, it creates, you don't get locked in. You have some paths, you have some wiggle room. And so strategically, I think it ends up giving you these wide open spaces while still giving you this cool, like unique starting position element. A lot of cool cards, some of which are more powerful if you're the right character. And then we also we tried with the expansion to address like every concern anybody had about Shards of Infinity. So we have solo play rules, which are really interesting and challenging. We have 2v2 and 3-player rules, which avoid some of the concerns about king making and like ganging up on somebody or whatever, which is direct attacking games have. And we also have like a bunch of variants where you can draft the relics and like all kinds of. So basically, for $9.99, you're going to get this enormous amount of additional play, a lot of really cool, again, the beautiful artwork, and like it just shuffles right into the main game. And this is the game that like we're just obsessed with around the office. Like I have to tell people like stop playing Shards. We need to make other games because we're done with this one right now. We got to go do something else. So it's been really exciting, and I was happy to preview for the very first time. I mean, nobody's seen this stuff until this show. So this is going to be a really exciting.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Again, your excitement for it is going to hopefully radiate out to the universe, and everybody will be like, must be a part of this. It's very cool. Thank you so much for those.
Yeah.
But, I'm working on a couple things, game-wise, and as a designer. I see that you brought a book.
Yes.
That might help keep my mind in the game, as it were.
Yes. Let me slide this over, and I'm going to slide over the last thing I have to show you. I don't know what the best way to show this off is.
I'm going to put it right here. And
right on.
We can...
So this book is called Think Like a Game Designer, and I have never written a book before, so it's kind of a scary process for me to put together. But basically, it's a step-by-step guide to how you can design games, get through any kind of creative challenge you have, whether that's starting a company, writing a book, and really step by step with exercises that you can follow that turn you into a game designer and show you how to make great games.
Nice.
And I took what I learned in the last 20 years of being in the gaming industry. In addition, I did interviews with like a lot of the top designers, Paul Peterson, Mike Selinker, Richard Garfield, and I took all of that stuff and I realized that everybody uses a variant of the same process when they design. It's not like some magic that like this other person's creative or you're a designer and I'm not. You know, I didn't think of myself as a creative person. I started as a Magic Pro player. So I was analytical, but I wasn't creative. I had to learn. And I realized that it's the step-by-step process, and it took me quite a while, but I now have written it out and shared it with people. So this book actually officially releases on September 9th.
Okay.
But you can pre-order it now. If you pre-order it from thinklikeagamedesigner.com, I've got a lot of free previews, like a print and play version of my new upcoming game that nobody's seen yet, as well as the digital version and an hour-long call and conference and chat and Q&A with me.
Awesome.
But there's something else that I'm actually really excited to be a part of, which is going on right now and only for the next week or so after GenCon, which is a Humble Bundle. If you're familiar with Humble Bundles, and so put those
I'm sure everybody watching is.
Yeah, so it's a charity event. You can basically go online and give money to charity, whatever you want to give. You can be $1, it could be $20, doesn't matter. And then we give you free stuff. And there's a game design and puzzle craft Humble Bundle going on right now. So an excerpt, the first 2 chapters of my book are in it, but also entire books from people like Mike Selinker, Elisa Teague, Monty Cook, like tons of books about the game design craft, about how you make puzzles that are there that you can get for, you know, basically nothing and
Teague,
give it to
puzzle maker.
Yeah. There's some great stuff. So so that's available right now as a way to give for charity. You can order the entire book from my site or from Amazon or Barnes & Noble. But like mostly I just want to create this to like let people get through what I went through much easier.
Sure.
You know, we talked about it a little bit before we started taping, but like, you know, I was in law school and I was like just miserable because I was doing the thing that I thought I was supposed to do and not the thing I was passionate about. Right. and I realized that like following your passion is like lights you up. I mean, you can see whatever my enthusiasm here, and I want to spread that to the world. I want other people out there that are thinking, you know, if you're a game store owner or you're somebody who loves games and you want to be a part of this and you want to create your own things, you can do it. And I want to help.
Yeah, that's amazing. When I say growing up, when someone says, you know, go to law school because that's the way we're supposed to, growing up in the normal sense of the word for life, but we all know that we never grow up.
Yeah, that's right.
and the thing that makes us happy is where we need to be.
Right.
And if this is what makes you happy, which obviously it does, you're in the right space, brother.
Yes.
And I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today here at Game Trade Media.
Anytime,
at GenCon 2018.
Yes,
the
I love
insanity that it is.
Yeah.
We'd like to also shout out to Ultra Pro because, you know, we love those folks over there as well. And make sure you stop by, you know, and check out all their stuff on their websites and all those amazing things. So you are never missing out on any of the amazing games available from Stoneblade Entertainment and Ultra Pro. Yeah. I'm Rick, and I'll see you at the game store.
Thanks for watching Game Trade Media. Make sure to leave us a like and click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new content.